If there was a speaker who needed no introduction, it would likely be this morning keynote Mr. John Hope Bryant. However, I will share some of Mr. Bryant's accomplishments with you. Mr. Bryant is the founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope, the largest not-for-profit and best-in-class provider of financial literacy, financial inclusion, and economic empowerment tools and services for youth and adults in the United States. He's also chairman and chief executive officer of Bryant Group Ventures and the Promise Homes Company, which is the largest for-profit, minority-controlled owned of institutional quality and single-family residential homes in the United States. Mr. Bryant is also one of the best-selling authors on economics and business leadership in the world. He's also an innovator, philanthropist, and mentor. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. John Hope Bryant to the stage.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, we got a problem already. You know, the Bible suggests be hot or be cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll spat you out.
All right.
Translation, even God is not like mediocrity. You know, y'all can do this stuff to Milton. He's cool and he's humble. I mean, he comes up here, he's chairman. He ain't got no sleep in the last 2 weeks. Chairman Milton Johnson. It's an unpaid position. And then Coca-Cola comes up here. They sponsoring the whole thing. I mean, don't let me get so big where I'm sponsoring 100 Black Men of America conference, and now y'all here, I'm the sponsor, y'all about. Y'all better give these people some love. And I'm not playing.
I know that.
Nothing good comes easy.
Yes.
Only in the dictionary does the word success come before the word work, because it's alphabetical. Every place else, Monica can tell you it's all she does is work. Every place else, work comes first. Love is work. Non-love is laziness. And then you have human evil. Evil exists, but it's very rare. Most people are just lazy. Psychologically lazy, spiritually lazy, physically lazy, emotionally lazy, financially lazy. They just don't want to do the work. They want somebody else to do it for them. Whatever you love is going to drive you crazy. Or should I say, whoever you love. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You love your husband and your wife. You want to be rid of them at least once a year. Or they want to be rid of you. You love your children. You want to strangle them at least once every Thursday, once a month. Am I talking to myself?
No problem.
You love your job. You want to quit. No, I got to pay these bills. The principal, this dude was like, you know, I hate these kids. You know, these kids, and they drive me nuts. These teachers ain't nothing. You know, all these people at this school just drive me nuts. No, you can't say that, baby. No, I can say what I want. These people ain't got no manners. They don't treat me no respect. I mean, I hate everybody. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to school. You got to go to school. Why do I have to go to school? You're the principal. Tommy Dorsch Jr. We love you.
Yes.
You're still with us.
Yes.
And Monica, to make your point, to underscore your point about Claire. I walked in this morning and talking about work, I mean, I was in 3 cities yesterday, or day before yesterday, I was in another 2 cities yesterday, and all Milton wanted to know is, are you gonna be here at 8 in the morning? He wanted to just be on time, and I was. But I walked in, first person to meet me was Claire. And beyond saying hello and being gracious, the first thing she said to me was, we gotta honor Bill Picard. Now, you may not know, he was a member of 100 Black Men of America. Curly knows what I'm talking about. Bill Picard was and will remain a living legend. And the first thing she said was, we gotta honor him in Detroit, but he needs to be honored all around this country. He once employed over 10,000 people of color in his businesses. He ran the MGM Hotel, owned it in Detroit. He owned McDonald's, he owned a bunch of other stores. He had a tech industry, absolutely. You're talking about a pioneer. He owned newspapers. This man gave and gave and gave and gave. And when Tommy Dortch wanted to do an institute at Clark Atlanta University where me and Bill and Tommy served on the board, Tommy didn't have to go to some mainstream corporation to ask them to support his institute. He went to Bill Picard, and Bill Picard wrote that check for several $1 million hold on now, a Black man supporting a Black man at an HBCU. Are you hearing me? This is a kind of timber you are built from, and we expect from you. That's who comes before you. Now, they have been promoted. They've gone on to a better place. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Amen. And the reason I came at you with that energy this morning is that energy matters. There's a man who's gonna be here in a couple hours. He's just like Nelson Mandela. But when you see him around this city, too many of us just say, hey, Andy. How you doing, Andy? That's not Andy. Nobody said to Nelson Mandela in South Africa, what's up, Nell? Am I missing something? Nobody, hey, what's up, Nelson? What's up, man? Madiba, President Mandela, icon. Ambassador Young has 130 honorary doctorate degrees, and that's just one of his countless honors. Was on that balcony with Dr. King. Anyway, Ambassador Young, my mentor, my play father, says, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. It is a coincidence, maybe, maybe not, that this morning, this breakfast is sponsored by Coca-Cola. And you're in this ballroom. Now, I didn't know this before I showed up. I know you're gonna be in this ballroom. I didn't think about it and put it together, but let me tell you why this is important. Dr. King, who we lionize, we romanticize, who died chain smoking, overweight, and depressed, who thought he didn't succeed, thought he had failed, who we didn't appreciate. Real talk. Only 20% of Black folks supported him at his height. 20% of white folks supported him at his height. Half of those were Jewish. Yes, real talk, true. Dr. King wins the Nobel Peace Prize. And he comes home, and they try to delay him from coming to Atlanta. He's in New York, and then he goes to DC. I don't have time for these other stories. I don't have a long time this morning, so I'm gonna get to it, but all these stories are important. Can you pass me my phone? And I have a timer on it. But the story that's relevant today, this morning about this, thank you, is that on his way here, there was some bad news. And the bad news was that Atlanta didn't want to honor him. I'm gonna repeat this. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. And these awards, by the way, matter, as Monica said. Today, people, when they want to know who you are when you come in their office, when you want an appointment, what they do is they internet search you. We used to say, it was a dictionary and there was a bunch of other things that people checked you out on, references. Remember the Rolodex some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about. You had cue cards on your desk. It was a Rolodex, and literally a Rolodex. And now, up until recently, it was a Google search. Soon it'll be AI, artificial intelligence. But anyway, when people want to check you out, they're gonna search your name. And if you are honored to have a 100 Black Men of America award that's been given to you, you go right to the front of the line. Details matter. As we go from the streets to the suites, from civil rights in the streets to civil rights in the suites. Are you guys with me or am I talking to myself?
Yes.
Dr. King wins his Nobel Peace Prize, the most important award in the world then and now. But folks in Atlanta, read mainstream business interests, did not want to honor him, said he was a rebel rouser, a troublemaker, and a bunch of other unflattering things. The former CEO of Coca-Cola, not the current one, the former CEO, Robert Woodruff, was called, I think he was fishing. He's fishing or hunting. We have a problem. The mayor called Coke, tried to reach him. The business community needs to be reminded of a few things. He leaves his hunting expedition. He comes back into town. I think Paul Austin was the CEO, actually, Coca-Cola at that time. Paul Austin and Robert Woodruff gather all the business leaders in the office of Coca-Cola and says, essentially, my version of this, what are you smoking? What part of this don't you understand? This man, put aside your drama for a minute. This man has won the most important award in the world. And we are an international supply chain company. We are a global entity. And we don't need Atlanta, but Atlanta needs us. So if you don't want to honor this man, that's fine. We're going to get out of this little raggedy town and go someplace where people have some sense. You have to the end of the day to make up your mind. Let me remind you also, if this is not enough inspiration for you, that most of you are Coca-Cola vendors and contractors and suppliers. And maybe your contract will not be extended. We'll see you later. The ballroom was packed. 1,500 people, sold out. Now all you see is the ballroom, just like this one, packed. You don't see the work that went into that, the struggle, the sacrifice. They packed that thing out, and the history books show it, and beautifully, but it was Coca-Cola that stood up in the breach in 1964, and said, honor this man. Now give Coca-Cola the love that they deserve. That's right, that's right, that's right, that's right. Exactly right. You can stand up. You stand up for less things. We don't have time, there's so much we don't have time for, but somebody out there, somebody so small-minded, saying, well, couldn't they have sent a sister? She's Latino. You don't understand your history. The second president of Mexico in 1524, I believe it was mulatto of African descent. His name was Guerrero. There's only one state in Mexico named after a president, and it's the Guerrero state. And the man who outlawed slavery 40 years before Abraham Lincoln was President Guerrero in Mexico. All right. That's my sister. That's your sister. And by the way, I haven't even got into my speech. But it's all right. I do understand you never want to be the old guy at the club. So before y'all kick me out, I'm going to leave. The place where Dr. King got his Nobel Peace Prize dinner was a hotel. What's the name, Milton?
Dinkler Plaza. The Dinkler Plaza.
Dinkler Plaza Hotel, which was located down the street at Forsyth and Williams, which is now a parking lot. So you are walking and driving every day. I want you to leave today. The next 48 hours, I want you to go to Forsyth and Williams. And I want you to have a small moment of silence and acknowledge something amazing happened right here. I made them put a marker in Memphis at the airport where Dr. King exited in 1968 on his last flight, because there's a marker in Dallas for President Kennedy where he was assassinated, and Dr. King is as important to American history. It gets deeper. When Dr. King said, "I'm here to redeem the soul of America," by the way, he didn't say I'm here to save black people. "I'm here to redeem the soul of America from the triple evils of war, racism, and poverty." Whoo! Curly, as he pivoted to poverty, and there's more poor white people in America than poor anybody else, by the way, then and now. Don't believe the hype. The number one people dying in America, group of people, high school educated white men dying of depression and opioid addiction. Right now, all of them are rioting at the ballot box. That's a whole nother conversation we don't have time for. But he had a vision called the Poor People's Campaign. And Dr. King and Andrew Young assembled for their last meeting of SCLC, hold on now, right here in this ballroom. Now, they couldn't make this up. It literally was 100 feet from here. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who you reference all the time as your hero, had his last meeting for his last movement right here, and left here and gave his life for you. How dare you do this about anything, anywhere, at any time? You are living history. You are the king makers and the queens. You are legends walking. And I expect you, we expect you to step up to that moment. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. And now it's time for my speech. What have I told you? What have I told you? that you're sitting in a moment in history, right now. But that history does not feel historic when you're sitting in it. Gotta be ready. History does not feel historic when you're sitting in it. It just feels like another day. But that doesn't mean the moment is not, in fact, historic. This is the third Reconstruction. You're in it. Right now. It started with George Floyd's murder. 2020. And we'll go from 2020 to 2030. All these last about 10 years. First Reconstruction after the Civil War. Again, we don't have time to get into the details here. I got to do this quick. But you're smart people. You with me so far?
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm from the black church. I'm used to seek and respond. Are you with me so far? Yeah. You know I got low self-esteem. By the way, this brother found me a wireless mic in 8 minutes. Give him some love, will you? Every piece of this counts. Every detail, every server, every busboy, every valet, everybody in here is what makes excellence. First Reconstruction after the Civil War. Freedom. Second Reconstruction, Civil Rights Movement. You're sitting in the moral capital of America. Atlanta, Georgia, where all of that was headquartered. The third Reconstruction, from the streets to the suites, from civil rights to silver rights. You're now sitting in the 10th largest economy in the entire United States, Atlanta, Georgia. The only international city in the entire traditional South. The biggest and busiest airport in the world, which is because of Andrew Young and Maynard Jackson, I might add. Atlanta is the 10th largest economy in the United States of America. I didn't say black economy. I didn't say minority economy. It is a $455 billion a year economic engine, which means it's larger than there's 240 nations in the world, give or take. It's in the top 10%, Monica, of all, Milton, of all nations in the world if it was a country. And it's a city built by you. No, y'all didn't get that. It's okay, this is my fault. I apologize. I apologize. Let me try this again. If you take the 6 states, I didn't say cities, the 6 states surrounding Georgia, Mississippi, 190 billion of GDP. Alabama, I think it's about the same, about 200, Dr. Price, billion of GDP. I'm just throwing in West Virginia because my wife's from West Virginia, and Bishop T.D. Jakes, all from West Virginia. A lot of people, West Virginia, about $98 billion a year. The whole state of GDP, economic engine for the whole state. And, Tennessee. You take the 6 states around Georgia, and the city of Atlanta, the city is larger. You take 3 of those states, the smaller ones, together, put them inside of the city of Atlanta, and you still have room. We are some bad. I can't say the rest of what I want to say. Why am I saying this? You are now the business plan for America. I wrote something called The Financial Literacy for All. Alba mentioned it. It's #1 best-selling book in America on economics. By the way, I love civil rights. I love history. But that's what people expect from us. I just told you it's the #1 best-selling book in economics in the country. And we're buying it. And then I wrote something called the Business Plan of America. You can read it later. We don't have time to get into it. But here's what I say. For all the folks pushing back on DE&I, by the way, I believe financial literacy is a civil rights issue of this generation. Hold on to that, because you may not know exactly what I'm meaning, but I'm coming back around to you. We okay so far? Business Plan for America. People pushing back on DE&I. Huh, okay, let me look at that. In 1950, America was 90% white. Let that sink in for a minute. The whole country. Today, we're 40% black and brown, and within 10 years, we'll be a majority of minorities. Actually, no, hold on a minute. It's a problem. There's a problem. Slow your roll. We'll be this generation, the first generation. By the way, America is a superpower in the world, the sole superpower in the world, and the biggest economy in the world today. Now, hold on to that, because you never had a superpower that wasn't an economic power at the same time in the history of the world. Think Rome, think France, think Germany. Help me out here. Think the UK, Spain. Okay, hold on to that. In this generation, God has a sense of humor. In this generation, you have the first generation over the age of 65 as a majority. Read white, wealthy baby boomers trying to retire. All at the same time. Now I'm gonna come back to that 40%. Now you got 40% now, 50% in 10 years, 50, 60, that will be black and brown. And if we don't change our habits, by 2052, black America will have a net worth of 0. Yes, I didn't say poor people. Everybody. Latinos will have a net worth by 2073 of 0. Let's look at our neighborhoods very quickly. We drive by this, we think it's normal. A 580 credit score neighborhood, here's what you see. Check cashier, next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a liquor store, next to a pawn shop, and a church down the street, trying to make you feel a little bit better once a week. That's your neighborhood therapist. Black people talking about, I don't want to go to a psychologist. Somebody might think I'm crazy. If you black in America and don't think you crazy, you crazy. All of our problems are in a 500 credit score neighborhood. What's up, Roland Mark? All of them. But I'm not picking on black people. You go to a poor white rural neighborhood. What do you see? Check cashier, payday loan lender, rent-to-own store, title lender, liquor store, church. They just pray and praise and riot differently. I just told you they're rioting at the ballot box. Is this too deep for this morning? Now, put that aside for a moment. Come back to the fact. So 41% of us own a home. The number one way you build wealth in America is not difficult. It's home ownership. Brother talking about, I'm on Roland Martin's show. Brother talking about, I don't want to own a home. The bank owns a home. I don't. If you don't pay, let me tell you something. If I loan you some money and you don't pay me, I'm going to own your home. This is not about black or white as in race, or red or blue as in politics. This is about green. The color's always been green. Slavery was about money. What are we talking about? Free labor. Am I wearing myself out for nothing? I'm going somewhere now. Rainbows only follow storms. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. And God didn't make you to fail. God made you great. He made you the moral post for the greatest nation on the planet with all our problems. My friends talking about, I hate America. I can't wait to get out of here. Here's a plane ticket. They still ain't gone. Capitalism and democracy are horrible systems, except for every other system. China's ripping off our business plan. They talking about we communists. They really capitalists. Russia talking about we communists. They really capitalists. Okay, let me get back on my. Here, let me drop the mic. I've told you about the promise. Let me tell you now about the promise. Because I already told you the easy way to do this for us is just become a homeowner. Now, I'm the largest single-family owner of rental homes in America. I should want you to rent a house, but you will anyway. I want you to get up and out of my house and go own one. Go work at McDonald's, go work at Walmart, just don't stay there forever. Up and out. So, here's the good news. All these folks pushing back on DE&I. DE&I is a R&D, research and development, for the future economy. The most diverse, hey Charmaine, the most diverse companies in America by 40% are more profitable than their non-diverse peers. The most diverse place in the world is America. The biggest economy in the world is. The two most diverse places in the United States are California and New York. The two biggest economies in the US are and New York. Hold on. Woo! The most diverse place in the traditional South is what? The biggest economy in the traditional South is what? You can't make this up. Diversity is a business case, not a moral one. I'm not asking you to like me, I like me. There's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is economic, being poor is a disabling frame of mind, a depressed condition of your spirit. You must vow never, ever, ever to be poor again. You gotta learn to take no for vitamins. Success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Over to rounded through it, we're gonna get to it. Black folks been doing it so much with so long, with so little, we can almost do anything with nothing. Can I get an amen? Amen. It's time for a new movement. I went and debated Bill Ackman, the billionaire who's been pushing back at DE&I, at the Milken Conference, and it was a private session, so I can't really tell you what was said. He had no receipts. So, about 2/3 through the meeting, Monica, he just threw his hands up. I came with the receipts. I came with data. No emotions. He threw his hands up. I'm with John. Now, he wouldn't say it publicly. He still hasn't said it publicly. Because Bill Clinton once said, President Bill Clinton, it's hard to get somebody to agree to the truth when the lie is paying their paycheck. But here's what I know. Here's what I know. There's not a race. Anybody recording this, I don't want you putting on Twitter or whatever, or Instagram, John Bryant's making racial comments. I'm saying right now what I'm about to say is not racial, okay? There's not enough. I like math because it doesn't have an opinion. There are not enough college-educated, successful white men to drive GDP, gross domestic product, income for the nation for the next 30 years. That's not a racial, it's math. God has a sense of humor. In order for this country to continue to be the leader of the free world,
for the next 50 years, in order for, hey, Mrs. Dortch, I love you, Carol Dortch. In order for this country, that's right, Tommy Dortch's wife, come on now. Give her flowers. She's still holding it up. You know, Dr. King's wife never got remarried. That wasn't that. She was fine. She fine. And if it wasn't for Dr. King's wife, there would be no King legacy. Behind every successful man is an exhausted woman. Okay. All right, I'm done. I'm wrapping this up. Here's my point to you. God has a sense of humor, as I said. Unless we want to all be speaking Mandarin in 20 years, Chinese. Listen now. The world needs you. There is no other light on the hill in the world but America. God needs the light on the hill with all our imperfections. And that is not possible. Future prosperity for the next 50 years is not possible unless you become homeowners and small business owners and entrepreneurs and role models and leaders from the streets to the suites. It's just not possible. Mathematically, for the first time in history, it's impossible. So here's my question, because this cannot happen. Here's my drop the mic. This cannot happen without 100 black men of America. That's why the Vice President of the United States of America is coming here at noon. You don't think she has other things to do? The first black person. We're so casual. The first black person, Vice President of the United States of America, a woman, first black person, first black woman. And let me predict what she's going to say to you. She's going to refer to you, in her words, as what I call the aspiration generation. You want to own stuff, don't you? You want to do stuff. You want to participate from the streets to the suites. She's coming to you with an economic conversation of inclusive capitalism, and she's a bad sister with the credibility to deliver it. But this work, and I'm about to lose my voice, I'm about to lose my voice and my mind. I'm done. But this work cannot happen without 100 black men of America. I got my financial literacy course when I was 9 years old, and a banker came in my classroom and taught me financial literacy. And I looked at him with a suit on, and I said, what do you do for a living, and how'd you get rich legally? He said, I'm a banker and I finance entrepreneurs. I said, sir, I don't know what an entrepreneur is, but if you're financing it and it's legal, I'm going to be one. Why do you think I'm standing here today? Because somebody stood in the breach and showed me why the kids want to be rap stars, athletes, and drug dealers. They're not dumb. They're not stupid. They're brilliant. They're modeling what they. And all a drug dealer is an illegal, unethical entrepreneur. He understands import, export, finance, marketing, wholesale, retail, customer service, security, territory, logistics. Reclaim that man. Put a suit on him. Put him in the suites. Put him in the game. But he can't get there without you. Get out of your seats. Get into that school. Go to that Boys and Girls Club. Go in there and volunteer for Milton. Be the change you want to see in the world. Ain't nobody coming to save you. You're going to have to do that. So here's my question. There are 3 types of people, 3 types of birds in the world. 3 types of people like 3 types of birds. And I want you to say this to the vice president when she's here. 3 types of people like 3 types of birds. Eagles, buzzards, and turkeys. Now, before I wrap this up and say this, I want you to tell me what I'm talking about now. When you go to the club tonight, after your work, after you go to the dinner from Milton, you go to the club tonight. You're like, oh, he's handsome. Oh man, she's fine. Ask her name, and then ask her credit score. Y'all think I'm playing? That's your business partner for life. It's the only place where 2 + 2 equals 6, 8, or 10. So I'm gonna say this one more time. 3 types of people like 3 types of birds. There are eagles, there are buzzards, and there are turkeys. Eagles don't fly in packs. You've never seen a flock of eagles. Eagles are regal. They're not arrogant. They're not pumped up. But there's something elegant about an eagle. But there's another kind of bird. There's a low altitude bird. It's buzzards. Buzzards love packs. Always stepping on your head to elevate themselves. Always player hating, never player congratulating. Always got something negative to say about somebody. Always an expert in what they're against, not what they're for. Don't look at your neighbor. But the worst kind of bird, I'm giving everything I got up here. My voice is gone. The worst kind of bird is a turkey. Because a turkey's got wings and can't even fly. All they're doing is profiling. We know that dude. Trying to be something you are. So here's my question. I'm done, I'm over time. So you gotta make sure that they know this was worth it. And I apologize, I blew up the schedule by going 10 minutes over. But here's the question. When the Vice President of the United States of America comes here this afternoon, and the world cameras is on you and her, and this country has to decide who it wants to be when it grows up. My question for you to answer to her in the world is, what kind of bird do you want to be? I'm out.